All right. In the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is his servant and messenger. I would like to greet you all with the greeting words of peace. We say it in the original language of Arabic, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you all for your support. Thank you all for being on this live. And for those who may not know, that greeting, Assalamu alaikum, just means peace be unto you. Well, brothers, today's topic is going to be a little different. So far in the series, we've mainly talked about more of the spiritual side of things. And so today, I want to talk about our eating habits. And that's the topic for today, because everybody watching knows that Black people are notorious for coming up with those backdoor food combinations. And I won't lie, some of them are good. Probably not for our health. So I just wanted to say that real quick. And look, I ain't gonna give no examples. I'm not. If you were waiting for it, I'm not gonna give no examples. You already know what I'm talking about. But the way we eat, not just as Black men, but as a whole in general, the way we treat ourselves to food is pretty much killing us all. And the number one killer for Black people is heart disease. And this isn't just because of what's happening with our food. Yes, it does play a major role, but it's also how we choose to use and eat food. The best way, of course, for your health is to grow food for yourself, but realistically and unfortunately, most of us don't have the time. Walaikum salam. But by the grace of God, today I'll be sharing with you all some practical things that you can do to improve your eating habits as Black men, even if you don't have much money. So before I move on, I want to tell you that everything that I'm teaching today is coming straight from Hadith to Live, book 1 and 2 by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Yes, it's a two-parter book, and if you want to read and learn how you can eat to save your lives, then I would recommend you go to finalcallstore.com. That's finalcallstore.com and search Hadith to Live, and you should be able to find both copies in order for you to buy it and purchase it for yourself. It's only $10, and I promise you, after you read the first chapter of the book, you'll know that it's worth way more than $10. It is such a valuable book. So everything, or not everything, but I'll be quoting some things from Hadith to Live, but it's always good for you to get the whole knowledge, get yourself a gift, and learn how to eat to live straight from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad in his book. So I want to address when we eat. Before we get into what we eat, let's just start off when we eat. So a lot of us think that we require 3 meals a day, and trust me, I know, I was there too. I live in a Muslim home. So back when I was around 11 or so, I would see my older siblings and parents fasting and eating 1 meal a day, and I thought they were pretty crazy. They ate once every 24 hours, and I ate once every hour. But look, no, for real, it wasn't that bad. I'm just making a joke. It wasn't that bad. I only ate around 2 meals a day. But before I accepted Islam for myself, I just thought I would die if I tried that out, to be honest with you. But of course, I wasn't talking physically. It was a figure of speech. But it was difficult for me starting off 1 meal a day. Now listen to what the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said about eating 1 meal a day. He said in Hadith to Live, book 1, quote, "Eat 1 meal a day or 1 meal every other day, and it will prolong your life. Do not think you'll starve. On the contrary, you'll be treating yourself to life, and a life filled with sickless days." End quote. Look, brothers, we only have one digestive system. When we eat 2, 3, or even 4 meals a day, we begin to wear out our digestive system. It's like working out, for example. When you work out at an intense rate every single day, what happens is you get exhausted physically. And so, due to all the muscles in your body working, if you do it every single day, you start to lose strength with your muscles. And it's the same way with your digestive system when you eat too many times in one day. Your digestive system never gets the rest days that you need in order to actually be all right. So therefore, over time, after eating 2, 3, 4 meals a day and snacks in between, the digestive system gets weaker and weaker the more we work it. And so that's why the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, quote, "Eat the proper food as given in this book and eat at the proper time. 1 meal a day from 4 to 6 p.m. End quote. This is the best way to preserve your life and for your health significantly. And I'm not talking about it really does help you. You can take it from me, and I know you see it everywhere. Sometimes Muslims posting it. It really does help to mental clarity, not just with your digestive system, but with your mental clarity. There's a whole lot of benefits I can go into, but once you do it for yourself, you are going to be mind blown. Now, if you're in any health conditions, I must say this, if you're in any health conditions that you're in that will do you harm if you eat 1 meal a day from 4 to 6, please don't do it. And if you think that you can do so, and you think that whatever condition you're in is not that extreme, please talk to your doctor, talk to anyone, check your health before you do it, okay? That's what I'm gonna say. Check your health before you do it. But this is the best for your health, because with this, you give your digestive system time to rest, and you give it time to break down the food you're feeding you. Have you ever had that moment, for example, when you're learning something? You could be studying, whatever, but when you're learning some new information, and while you're learning, you start to feel overwhelmed in the head, and you actually feel physically exhausted. And now, what do you feel like you got to do? What do you say when you feel overwhelmed, when you got a lot of information in your head? Oh no, I gotta chill. I need some time to myself. I gotta back up, right? That's how the digestive system is. When you give it all this food, it's trying to say, okay, man, this is too much. Gotta break this down. He just ate pizza. He just ate some donuts. He just ate this. He just ate that. Man, when am I gonna get a break? So your digestive system is trying to get a break. But since we're eating 2, 3, 4 meals a day plus snacks, now it makes it so much harder for our digestive system, and unfortunately, it gets weaker. So what I want you to do is gradually decrease when you eat, if you're the one who eats 2, 3, or 4 meals a day. But gradually go down. So start off small and progressively get to 1 meal a day. So for example, if you eat 3 meals a day, don't just hop to 1 meal. Trust me. Starting gradually is the way to go. Start off by taking lunch or breakfast out and replace it with tea or coffee. Now, this is something that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that we can drink between meals, but of course, don't fill it up with sugar and cream. Come on now. But you want to decrease your meals, and that's the first step. Get to 1 meal a day gradually. And again, like I said, it's tough when you first doing it. So if any of you find that you have an eating habit and you find it very hard to break, DM me and I'll help you right away. Now, if you're already talking to somebody in the nation and you're comfortable with them, you can talk to them. I'm not the only source, but you understand what I'm saying. It's always good to have help. So your brother is here for you to DM for help, because again, I was there too. Now that we eat 1 meal a day, now we got to change what we're actually eating, because if we're not eating the proper food, we won't still be eating correctly, and we'll still be doing harm to our bodies. 1 meal a day does help, but you really get those benefits when you only eat 1 meal a day. You're giving your digestive system a break, and you're eating the right food when you are eating. Doing this is going to be great for you. Now, I know most of us, well, actually, before I go there, I want to name a few things in Hadith to live that we as Muslims are prohibited to eat and forbidden to eat. And for those who may have a little knowledge of the nation, you probably know what I'm about to say. This is in Hadith to live. This is not coming from your brother. We as Muslims are forbidden and prohibited from eating swine or pork. We as Muslims are forbidden to eat this. And that's how dangerous it is, to where it literally is forbidden. I know it may be a little rough, but just hang on for a second. Here's why it's dangerous. When we eat pork, no matter what form, bacon, you name it, when we eat pork, these things called trichinial worms are now in our bodies, and they're slowly consuming the insides of our bodies like termites. They start in the stomach, but here's where it gets bad. They don't just stay at the stomach, they progressively get to the brain through the spinal cord, and they start digesting and eating valuable parts of the brain. And this is why you see people having conditions like dementia and Alzheimer's at such a young age. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad said about pork, and I quote, "It's death to your children in their early ages, and it affects the reproductive organs of the people as well as your lungs and sharpness in thinking." He told us this back in the 90s, y'all. Back in the 90s, before anyone was. Have y'all noticed that wave of intermittent fasting? That was only maybe 5-6 years ago, but he was saying this in the 90s before anyone was. So what was it about that man that he knew that it took people 50 years to know, 40 years to know, 30, 20 years to know? Who was his teacher, and what did he put in him, and what did he teach him? I ain't gonna say it. I'm gonna leave it for you to just think about. Just food for thought. So we gotta do is right. We gotta follow how to eat to live. Not so that it's not like God, oh man, God's controlling my life, man. No, he's doing this because he loves you. If you heard what I just said about the pork, man. So look, God is just trying to protect us. It's not just randomly control us, okay? I just wanted to throw that out there. We aren't taught this to be burdened. We're taught this so that we can preserve and save our lives. And the main argument, let me go ahead and do this real quick, because the main argument people say is, well, Asians eat pork, they live the longest. Some of us put grandma in the mix, and we say, oh, well, she's 75 years old, man. Look at her, she walking, she good. Y'all know how it is, especially those who go door to door. You know exactly what I'm talking about. But look, what we don't understand is that the human body was never meant to die that soon. The human body was meant to live 100 years, 120, 140 years or more. We see people dying at 65, 70, some even 40, thinking it was the right time. 66% of America, 66% of America eats pork regularly. That's more than half the country. What's the number one killer of America? Heart disease. We are being killed. We must get up and do what's best and eat the best of foods and follow how to eat to live and abstain from that of which kills us. It's important that we strive to grow our own food, of course, but I know, unfortunately, most of us may not have the money nor the time to do that. So I want to give you a few practical tips from how to eat to live that will help you eat what's good for you. And you won't have to take much out of your pocket at all. Now, the first meal that I want to share with you that you can make is navy bean soup. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad said in How to Eat to Live, Book 1, quote, "No beans did he, Master Farad Muhammad, advise except the small navy bean, the small size and not the larger size, the little brown pink ones and the white ones. This bean he valued to be high in protein, fats, and starches, and it is a safe food for prolonging life." Navy bean soup, safe for prolonging life. He also suggests that you eat and you drink the milk the purest you can find, eat whole wheat bread, and lots of vegetables and fruits. So you can make this a meal, y'all, end quote. You can make this a meal and eat navy bean soup with some whole wheat bread. Another good one, this is I like this one personally. You can make lentils. That is the brown bean that he was talking about in the quote. You can make lentils as well, and you can turn this into a soup. You can turn it into a sandwich with whole wheat bread, of course, and make a meal of it. So look, you're a God, man. You can be creative with it. Just make sure whatever you're doing, it is giving you life and prolonging it, because that's the goal of why we're following How to Eat to Live, not to be controlled. So if you want these recipes and how to cook them in particular, the steps, instructions, you can DM me on this Instagram page actually, and I'll have it sent to you immediately. And another thing, brothers, now we got those meals out of the way, and I hope y'all taking notes, Another thing that we can't be eating is processed sweets all the time. Yeah, I know. Yeah. It's good with balance though. Good with balance. But we gotta watch the processed sweets. Overindulgence is the enemy, as we're taught. But you can still have them. They must be eaten in close moderation. But in How to Live, Book 1 says, quote, "You may eat some sweets, but do not make an entire meal of sweets or eat them every day." The golden rule is just to make sure you're eating at the proper time and eating the right food most of the time. Underline most of the time, okay? I'm not saying be an extremist, and even though you like pizza and donuts, you're just not going to touch it no more for the rest of your life. No, we're taught that overindulgence is the enemy. So if my favorite thing is pizza, I can eat that, just not every day though. Now I'm getting at my health. If you notice with most of these things, all these addictive drugs, people are always saying, don't use too much, don't use too much, don't use too much. Because food is addictive just as a drug is, especially with the sugar. That's why I specifically pointed it out. But if you have the discipline to use it in moderation once or twice a month, you'll be all right. So if you want to buy something from the store that's sweet, for example, I can, but I'll eat it once every other week or once in that week. We are taught that overindulgence is the enemy. So if you plan to do something similar to what I just said, please keep it balanced. Okay, so we know when to eat, which is 1 meal a day from 4 to 6, what to eat, the foods that will prolong our life, and take it from your little brother. This works. This works. It was, of course, hard, but what I noticed is that I started to feel better. My discipline also increased as well as my energy and sharpness in mind. Now I know that part about energy, for some people that may trip you out. Like, how can not eating give you energy? Man, I know it's crazy, right? It sounds unrealistic. But when you take How to Live and you follow it, you experience exactly what I'm telling you. And that's why I'm on this live, because I want that for you too. Now, here's what's really crazy though. Once you make the commitment to eat in accord with How to Live, you hardly get sick. And I can personally testify to this. I can count on one hand how many times I got sick in like maybe a year and a half. That's insane. I have yet to get sick. I remember when I was younger, it was kind of maybe once every 3 months, once every 4 months maybe. But I hardly get sick. I hardly even get as little as a headache. So I highly encourage you to commit as your little brother is striving to commit and prolong your own life. And look, man, we are in this together. Seriously, please don't look at me as this holy guy. I hope I'm not seeming like that. Look, man, I've practiced my discipline many times. I have. But I'm striving my hardest, and I encourage you to do the same. We as Black men carry the seed of our people's future. We as Black men carry the seeds of our people's future. So we must keep our bodies right, keep them protected and nurtured. We're taught that Islam is mathematics, all right? So if I'm eating junk food 90% of the time, unfortunately, when I got a baby, is it gonna come out? You don't think nothing may be a little off? You don't think that he may be more inclined to these diseases? And no, Islam is mathematics. So of course that baby would. So we gotta watch ourselves and not just think about us, but think about the people that's potentially coming from us. So we have to protect ourselves for the health of ourselves and the health of our future people. We can't do that without How to Live.